Hello everyone, welcome to Scholar Lab. Our simulations can transform your teaching approach, making lessons much more interactive and captivating for your students. Scholar Lab is a distinctive virtual laboratory that brings intricate STEM concepts to life through engaging simulations. This tool is crafted to aid students in comprehending and applying scientific principles in practical situations.
Welcome to this fiery exploration of chemistry. Today, we are diving into a fascinating experiment known as flame test. Imagine being able to identify different metals just by color they emit when placed in a flame. That's exactly what we'll be doing today. This experiment will showcase the vivid and unique colors that various metal salts produce. And in the second part, you will get to test your detective skills by identifying the unknown salt based on their colors they display. So without any further delay, let's get started. Each simulation begins with a game plan. This outlines overall procedures, observations, and learning of the simulation. If you are a new user, kindly go through this section thoroughly to maximize your experience. Now, get ready to amazed as we unravel the beautiful connection between the metal ions and the color flames. Let's spark your curiosity. Let's start by understanding why the flame test is such a useful tool in chemistry. When certain metals are heated, their ions get excited and jump to their high energy levels. But these electrons do not stay there for long. They quickly fall back to their original state. While coming back to the original state, it emits certain amount of energy in the form of light. And here is the best part. Each metal releases a different color of light, creating a distinct fingerprint that helps us to identify which metal we are dealing with. For example, here we have sodium chloride, potassium chloride, barium chloride, calcium chloride, and copper chloride. And let's start with sodium chloride. I'm going to use the platinum wire to pick some salt from the bulb. Before that, let me switch on the Bunsen burner. Once I taking the salt, I'm throwing it to the Bunsen flame. Can you see this yellow flame? This one easy to spot. Sodium gives out a bright yellow flame like a street light on a warm summer night. It's so vivid that even the smallest amount of sodium can dominate the flame's color. Right? Let's move on to the second salt, that is potassium chloride. Once again, I'm using the platinum wire to take up some amount of salt. This produces a pale lilac or light violet flame. It's a bit subtle, but just as beautiful. A light hue that sets it apart from the others. Now, let's move on to barium. Turning on the burner and clicking on the platinum wire to take some amount of salt. By clicking on the arrow mark, I can place this on the Bunsen flame. Barium gives off a green flame. Wow! Almost like a glow of neon lights, right? This distinct and a bit otherworldly yet true showstopper, right? Let's move on to the next salt, that is calcium chloride. Let me place it on the flame. Calcium will light up the flame with an orange-red glow. Imagine the color of burning embers in a campfire. That is a signature of calcium. Now let's move on to copper salt. Copper salt, the color itself is blue. Let's see what colors it produces. Copper brings us a blue-green flame, a cool and refreshing color, almost like an ocean on a clear day. In this part of experiment, you will observe the metal salts in action with each flame revealing a splash of color. Now, for the detective work, we are going to the quiz part. Once you have seen the colors, it's time to identify the salts based on those colors. We'll give you an unknown sample, like we have arranged 10 unknown samples over here. And by observing the color it produces in the flame, you will determine whether it is sodium, potassium, calcium, barium or copper. Remember the colors: yellow for sodium, violet for potassium, orange-red for calcium, green for barium and blue-green for copper. Let's get started. On the right hand side you can see the question attempted, and here we go. I'm turning on the Bunsen burner. Clicking on the platinum wire to take some amount of salt. Placing it in the burner. Green glow. What is the color? You can pose this question to the students to identify the salt. I think it must be a barium salt. Let me click on next. You can see the question attempted is now 1 out of 10. Let me pick up another salt and do the experiment again. Again a shade of green. It must be a barium. Let me pick up some other salt. Wow, that is violet in color. What salt it must be? Sodium, calcium, potassium, barium or copper? I think that's potassium. Let me take the colored one. Show that to the flame. It's a green glow, bluish tint of green. So it must be a copper. What about the next salt? It's reddish in color. Maybe a chances of calcium. Let me take the another salt with the platinum wire. It's violetish. It must be potassium. As sixth salt, yellowish red. Which salt it must be? I think it must be sodium. Let me take the seventh one. Placing it on the flame. Again with the yellowish red. But any time of the quiz, you can click on finish button to complete the quiz at that time, or else you can proceed to the next salt till 10th one you are finishing. Add ninth salt. Okay, that must be copper. The final one. Straight. Maybe a chances of calcium salt. Once I click on all 10 questions, you can click on finish to reveal the answers. Then the final score, attempted questions, number of correct answers, and the salt name is given over here. This test is not only the observational skills, but it also your understanding of the unique properties of each metal. And the journey concludes our flame-filled journey. You now experience the mesmerizing colors produced by different metals and seen firsthand how these colors can help us identify different salts. From golden yellows of sodium to cool blues of copper. The flame test reveals the whole spectrum of chemistry in action. So the next time you see the burst of color in the flame, remember, chemistry is at work, lighting up the world around you.
Thanks for watching.